Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology. I'm Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the stars above. And because I promised my husband I would do this, here we go. It's my birthday. I'm wearing the birthday glasses, Terry. I hope you're happy. However, I really can't see through the lenses, so I cannot wear this through the whole broadcast. So there we go. I've done it. And now we're back to normal, Janet. So I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning as we talk about the astrology of not only today, but also for the weekend. And as some of you are probably wondering why it is I'm back on Facebook Live instead of YouTube, I didn't want to admit yesterday that I had no clue about what this email that came to me from Oneness Talk Radio was about in terms of how to get onto my show via YouTube Live. So yesterday was just such a full day, and today was also going to be a full day. So I'm like, I'll just deal with that over the weekend and do Facebook Live this morning. So here I am on Facebook Live, and it's lovely to see you all. I hope you'll all stick with me as I go through these, weird changes of where to broadcast and where I'm broadcasting to later. And it's kind of funny because there's so many options, of course. And as you have experienced with me, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So it's just been sort of kind of funny to do this. Good morning, Camille. Thank you very much. Mimi, good morning. And thank you. Amanda, good morning. Allison, good morning to you. It's great to see you all. I hope everybody is having a great day. Ashley, good morning. I haven't seen you in a while. So maybe it's like, maybe I'm supposed to stay with Facebook. I mean, I see more faces, just not as many comments. Anyway, thank you, Ursula. Very nice of you. Ursula sent me a deck of cards yesterday, and I received them. They are called the Mayan Oracle, a galactic language of light. And unfortunately, I did not have time yesterday to play with them very much. So I don't think I want to use them in the broadcast yet until I really understand them. So, but we'll see. I'm a Gemini. I might change my mind. But they're beautiful, and I thank you so much for those. What a wonderful gift to receive. And good morning, Debbie Tibbetts, Tumiel, Amy Moore, good morning. Laura, good morning. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit later today. Her birthday was this week, so everybody shout out to Laura Hammer and say good morning and happy birthday. Her birthday was on Tuesday, and I did not see that, so I missed it. Good to see you out there this morning, too. So we have quite a bit to talk about, but I also want to have time to do some readings today since we weren't able to do that last Friday, as I took that day off as well. So let's get to it, shall we? So we have a lot to talk about in terms of what's happening for the weekend. We have a solar eclipse, new moon. We have a summer solstice, which changes up the energy. It's a huge gateway or portal. We have a Mars in a sextile to Jupiter just after his sextile to Pluto earlier this week. So close together that even with the new moon, they're very tight in their aspecting one another. We have the moon in Gemini today, conjunct Venus retrograde. And I have a wonderful saying, I didn't even get to the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day. How extraordinary. Usually it's one of the first things I do, but I didn't get there this morning. So let's dig in, shall we? So let's start with the moon in Gemini, because that's today. Right now, we only have one aspect today to work with. And that, trust me when I say that's a good thing, because with everything else coming up over the weekend, it feels a little bit crazy. The moon in Gemini conjunct Venus retrograde. So there's a feeling that I think we're kind of picking up on, and it may be because of Mercury's retrograde in Cancer. It could be because we're looking at, moving into a window of new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. Or it could be the moon in Gemini conjunct Venus retrograde. And it's a feeling of nostalgia. I'm feeling like even it occurred to me this morning that what I was sharing with all of you the other day about my drive down the road in Burlington and seeing these empty shops and only one person out on the street, and that person was leaning up against the wall with a black mask on their face, and I just about busted out into tears. because there's this feeling of something lost. And throughout this pandemic, whether you believe it was a manufactured pandemic or what, it doesn't matter the vehicle through which this occurred. But the net result is that I think we're all feeling maybe a little bit like we've lost something, whether it's innocence lost, whether it's the attachment to one another, the ability to go where we want to, when we want to, and do what we want to. There's just this feeling of something lost. And I think that might be a bit magnified today for us, as Venus in retrograde reminds us of our values. And it reminds us of what's worth living for, what's worth loving for, and maybe resorts our priorities, maybe helps us move through the emotion of some of that, as Venus, as a Gemini is a sign that's not particularly emotional as much as it is in the mind. So what we're working with, again, as yesterday, is what is going on in our mind. And I found this wonderful, so in the morning, I always go to my computer and I open it up and I go to YouTube, because that's where I'm going to set up the broadcast. And the first thing I see this morning is, you know, when you open up YouTube, it gives you like a list of all these different YouTube videos that you could look at. Well, today, the first one that was on my list was one by Oprah Winfrey, and it said, "You become what you believe." That was the name of the broadcast. I don't know if I attribute the quote to Oprah Winfrey, but it reminded me of our conversation yesterday when we were talking about the saying, seeing is believing, or is it really believing is seeing? And then this comes up, you become what you believe. And I had to go looking for where's that coming from? Because I'm feeling it. I'm bringing it up in my morning show. So it must be something, I think, astrological that's going on. Well, woohoo, I found it. And it was right in front of my face the whole time. And it is the sun today and yesterday and even into the next couple of days in a conjunction to the North Node at 29 degrees of Gemini. So we have the sun conjunct the North Node. Well, what is that all about? And all of you have this going on in your chart. Wherever 29 degrees of Gemini is in your chart is where this is going on for you. So you can maybe grab your chart and look at that. And it is a time when the sun comes to the North Node, the transiting North Node. It's a time to grow. It's a time to evolve, and it's a time for change. The North Node is sort of like the compass point, pointing to true north, and it is pointing us right now collectively at what it is that we need to be able to grow. And in your own personal chart, it may also be showing you the next step in your own personal evolution, the next step for your own personal growth. And you'll know where that's happening because, or you'll know what part of your life it's affecting by the house it is in your chart. So I'm going to share my screen because I think it would be worthwhile to show you a chart. It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, first of all, I better find let's go here and forgive my face there twice. There, now you should be seeing the chart of the moment, which is the chart that I drew up this morning. But for illustration purposes, what we see is right here. This is, let me see if I can annotate. I was getting better at that. So let's keep practicing, shall we? And let's use green. And we have the sun and the North Node right here. And I just drew a line right through, no, here's Venus retrograde over here. So we have the sun conjunct the North Node. And if this were the chart of a person, we would see that it is happening in their 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of dreams and hopes and wishes, or in a bigger way, it's your vision for your life or your bigger dream for your life. So to me, if I looked at this, I would say, wow, this is a person who really needs to get down on paper what it is that they want to achieve, right? You become what you believe. So I believe I am this. I believe I can have that. I believe that I live in a world where this is happening, etc. Right? So you can write down in this case, everything that you believe, almost like your own personal manifesto, right? Because that's what this energy is really all about. It is a very lucky time when these two pieces come together, right? That lucky in that it might be a chance conversation, an opportunity that is given to you, a chance meeting. This represents abundance. This represents life-giving vitality and the force for good, or the force for evolution, the force for change, in moving in a new direction. So I'm kind of excited that this would even show up. It's a transit that shows up in my astrology, my solar return astrology, but it is also a transit that is showing up for everybody right now as we're being tasked to grow and move in a new direction, one that's based on our values, based on our embodying divineness, our divine selves, and bringing them into balance and harmony. And by doing that, we create opportunities, we create abundance, we create a pathway forward. And when you personally connect with that pathway forward, you also allow those in your family and your friends and your extended family and your colleagues and all of, going out and out, you're extending that opportunity to all. Right. So I hope it's very hopeful. It's very optimistic. Now, does that mean that the world is going to change and tomorrow there's not going to be, revolution going on, or pandemics, that kind of thing? No, the world is still going to offer up the same challenges out there. What's different is that we now have this opportunity to really decide what it is we believe about the world that we're living in. And then we create from that belief. Believing is seeing, because what you believe, you begin to see in your outer world. All right. So I hope everybody understands that. I'm going to take a quick peek back at Facebook because I just remembered that I can only see 4 comments at a time. So darn. Good morning, Elisa. Great to see you. Linda, so glad I found you today. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. Jacqueline, thank you. Good morning to you as well. Happy solar return to Laura, she says. And I love that. Everybody can support one another. Now, let's talk a little bit about living astrology. Something hysterically funny happened yesterday. In retrospect, it wasn't funny while it was happening, but in retrospect. So you might see over my shoulder over here this beautiful bouquet of flowers. And of course, my husband and his funny SpongeBob, and it says, "Happy birthday, Janet." He's very sweet. And he created this little tableau here because he knew it would be shown in the video. So he's really funny. But these flowers were meant to be delivered to me yesterday before 2:00, because he very meticulously asked me what my schedule was like. And I had this window of time between like noon and 2, and he had told them to deliver flowers then. But the flowers that were delivered were not what he paid for or requested. And it came without candy. And what else did he say? He ordered a card and balloons. So it came just like this. And he was such a bear from about 12 to 2. I'd already figured out what was happening, by the way. It's hard to surprise me usually, but at first I was sort of surprised that he did this, but pleasantly surprised. And then once I knew what he was doing, he was hot under the collar because things were not happening the way they were supposed to. And then when they come, they are not what he ordered. And then he finds out from the florist that this is like a $29 floral bouquet when what he paid was over $100 to get me a dozen long-stemmed red roses with candy and balloons and the delivery and what have you. Well, I realized right away, of course, this was Mercury retrograde at work. We're living astrology. This is why I like that name, right? Because we live it in every moment. We are living astrology. Mercury retrograde was in effect. And so the communication got all snafu'd, etc. He kept calling the company to get through to them. And he would get put on hold. And then someone would click some button and he would end up on a survey. And then he'd have to call back in, and the same thing would happen over and over. It was pretty funny from my point of view. He was getting madder and madder. Then I remembered this morning. The moon was in void of course yesterday, and it didn't break the void until 2 o'clock. And it was at 2:15 when the flowers finally arrived. And eventually, to make a long story short, he ends up having to take care of this through the bank because the flower company won't, talk to him. They keep sending him off to a survey. And so anyway, living astrology, right? When life goes upside down, you can sometimes just stand back and go, okay, the moon in void means not anything is going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen. The moon is just wandering around, she's just, playing the moon until she makes another aspect. Her energy isn't focused in any direction. So that was playing into, besides the Mercury retrograde, this craziness that was happening for him yesterday. So remember that, right? We are in living astrology at all times, in all moments. And even if you think, oh, that doesn't have anything to do with me, it does, right? It does. So now going back to why I brought that up, the sun conjunct the North Node is a huge opportunity for all of us to rearrange our priorities, to rearrange ourselves toward abundance, toward creating the world that we really want to live in, and not participating in the craziness that is the world. Now, I'm not saying that you should just cloud your eyes and your vision and not pay attention, because there are some things that are happening out there that we really need to be aware of. But what I am saying is that what you're seeing out there are the effects of what you've believed over time. All of us, not just me, not just you, but all of us. And it's going to take us changing what we believe in order to change that picture out there. So literally the picture of what's going on in the world around you is going to tell you how well you're doing at living what you believe instead of living what you see. I hope this is making sense. It's like turning the world upside down and looking at it from a whole different point of view. And I love that point of view, even though, at times there's still going to be those challenges that we have to live through. Marjorie, good morning. And thank you very much. Thank you, sweetheart. And no, I'm not on YouTube. Nope, I'm on Facebook. Sorry, honey. Didn't tell you that, but I decided I wasn't going to do it this morning because I was afraid I'd end up broadcasting to Oneness Talk Radio. Crazy, crazy stuff, right? Okay, so let's talk now a little bit about, so remember, Oprah Winfrey's quote, you become what you believe. Write that across your forehead, write that on your wall, write that in your journal, and get, kind of used to that idea as opposed to what we've been living in terms of the world outside of us. Okay, so now let's go to the new moon solar eclipse. It's a very powerful one. It always is when it's an eclipse because it sort of just adds that much more energy to the mix. So we have the new moon solar eclipse happening at 0 degrees of Cancer. And we have that happening at 11:42 p.m. for me on the West Coast. For anybody on the West Coast, it's at 11:42 p.m. But once you get to Mountain Time, Central Time, and East Coast Time, it's happening actually on Sunday morning and very early in the morning while you're asleep, likely. And that would be at 2:42 a.m. for those of you on the East Coast. So we're bridging the weekend, right? So from Saturday night late my time to Sunday for those of you on the East Coast of the US, and then for Europe also later in the day on Sunday. And that new moon solar eclipse is coming on the same day that Mars is in a sextile to the planet Jupiter. And it is also coming with a couple of other transits that I think really set us up for what comes next. So I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but let's look closer at the new moon solar eclipse, because I have a question for you that I think that is being asked of all of us during this period of time. And it is, what nourishes us? What nurtures us? What makes us feel good? What makes us feel happy? What makes us feel loved? What makes us feel abundant? You can almost fill in any word of your choice in that spot. What makes you feel really cared for and loved here on the planet? This, as I said earlier in the broadcast this morning, may make us feel a little bit nostalgic, and that's owing likely to Mercury retrograde, but even so, 0 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is one of those signs that really looks to the past. When I see Cancer very prominent in somebody's chart, it is often someone who's concerned with genealogy, looking through their family. They're concerned about traditions and a real connection to the feminine in their line, almost. I don't want to say matriarchy, but a connection through the female line in their family. And so we might have that feeling more of that, what from the old days, if you will, old days in quotes, can I recreate in a new way now, right? There is also a sense that the moon in newness here is actually slowing us down. We have a lot of planets retrograde at this point in time. So there's nothing that's happening very quickly. And that can mean communication snafus, not being able to get through to the customer service department of a business that you're trying to talk to, snafus in, they put you on hold, but instead you end up at the survey, not being able to get to the person you want to get to, not being able to get things delivered to you. All these things are slowing us down. And I think there's always a purpose in that. We've been barraged by a lot of craziness for the last, I don't know, I want to say year and a half, but maybe it's not so that long, but maybe the last year, and really intensely since about February of this year. And it's time for us to really just be able to breathe in and relax a bit. Now, I'm not saying things are going to get easier initially here, but I think one of the things that has to nourish us during this period of time is rest, is relaxation, is meditation, is yoga, or some other connection to grounding us here on the planet, maybe nature or nature walks, or, something that supports us to become more calm, to become more peaceful, to become more harmonious. And I feel like we've been, water, there's lots of water energy in this. And that water energy, have you ever watched the ocean when it's peaceful? You've got this rhythmic sort of ocean. Maybe it's just lapping at the shore if it's a lake. But when there's a storm, those waters are tossed about, and we have been tossed about, right? We've been tossed about for a while. It's time for us maybe to get into more languid waters, or places where we can, restore, refresh, rejuvenate ourselves. So this new moon gives us that opportunity to choose that. It's not like it's just there and it's going to happen, but we get to choose that. And, just a little by the by, we have another eclipse coming July 5th. And after that point in time, the astrological omens calm down a lot. So maybe this is practice for what comes later in the month of July for us. But there is also something else I think that's so important here during this new moon solar eclipse, and it's a connection to magic, magical awareness, I called it this morning. And I am saying this because there are different types of astrology. There's a brand of astrology, if you will, called esoteric astrology. And in esoteric astrology, the ruling planet for Cancer is Neptune instead of the moon. And this new moon, it's sort of in a conjunction to a faraway sort of, not conjunction, but aspect to the planet Neptune. And, in a trine, basically. And it's not even quite that so much as there's just this thought I had of this connection to Neptune. And thinking back to Neptune being the only planet that's different in its relationship to all of the other planets than it was back in the 1300s, the last time we have had this kind of quality of transits going on in the world that have been so disruptive, right? The Dark Ages and the bubonic plague, the Black Death, all of that, leading to the Dark Ages. And now we have those same kind of transits leading us, and then even a pandemic, and the, economic recession out of that that was similar to what happened way back then. But the only difference now is Neptune. And if we're tuning into Neptune, we're tuning into spirituality. We're tuning into unconditional love. Or if we can find ourselves tuning into that, then we have an opportunity to not have to repeat history and the results of the devastation wrought by the Dark Ages, the ending of the Bronze Age, as it were. And we can, create maybe the opportunity to move to a new golden age. I believe for once, it is really up to us as humans what we want. What do we want to create? I think it's up to you, and I think it's up to me. And I think as we tap into that magical awareness of the real true power that we have in creating our reality, I think it is super exciting. And I also want to call it something, I want to call it practical magic. Great movie if you've never seen it, with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock. It is an awesome movie. And I'm calling for practical magic because how can I show this to you? Let me see if I can show this to you. And bear with me for a minute because I'm going to have to make some changes on my screen here before I get there. But I wanted to show you the new moon's astrology chart. What did I name this thing? New moon, June. So I got to go to J. The June. There we go. Let me bring this chart up, guys, and then I will be back and share the screen with you. And voila. Okay, going to Zoom again, sharing my screen. Here we go. No, share. 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 I think there's something wrong with my mouse. Maybe that's the problem with this thing. Okay, so what you all should be seeing now is the June new moon solar eclipse. So what I'm talking about in terms of practical magic is this. If you look at, here's the South Node at 29 of Sagittarius. That's our past, right? The cup of all of our beliefs, of our experiences that we've had through lifetimes as a collective. And then on the opposite end, we have Gemini with the North Node now at 29 degrees. They're always going to create an opposition because they travel in opposition to one another. If one end of it is at 29 degrees, then the other one is at 29 degrees of the exact opposite sign. And right now we're talking about Gemini and Sagittarius. Now look at this. We've got the South Node pointing over here at a conjunction to Mars and Neptune. It's a little bit distant, but it's still there. And then we also have Mars and Neptune then in a square to the North Node. So what we're seeing here is a T-square. And every T-square has its opposite point, where right now we're sort of leaning way over this way, and we're kind of leaning into being victims. We're leaning into the old energy that needs to be replaced. And the replacement energy, if you will, is going to be somewhere between 20 and 25 degrees or so of Virgo. Practical magic, right? The empty space that we need to bring balance into this whole astrological picture is in Virgo, which is holistic, which is healing, which is magical in terms of its groundedness, right? The practical magic. So let's call this new moon solar eclipse practical magic, because that's exactly what it is that we're looking at. So Neptune on one side calls us to that divinity, that divineness, that hard to pin down. You can't see it. It's etheric. It's esoteric. It's unknowable almost, right? We can't know it with our senses, but what we can know is at the opposite end over there in Virgo, the practical expression of that magic expressed through us, through love, through spirituality, through our heart space, right? When we connect heart to heart. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's what I'm going to live through during this period of time is practical magic. And I encourage you to do the same, right? We need to be able to become the co-creators of this reality in a very positive way. Now, The new moon solar eclipse also has a more difficult aspect attached to it. And so I was considering this one today because I'm like, okay, it's Saturn in an inconjunct, which is a 150-degree angle or relationship between the planets. Let me show you that on the screen. Oh, I went back here to comments. Let me go back to the screen. So an inconjunct is always shown by the green dashed lines. And we have this inconjunct, going on between the new moon solar eclipse at 0 degrees of Cancer. So 0 degrees of Cancer, and inconjunct the planet Saturn at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So right here, it looks like it's over here, but it's not, it's right here. And that you can see this green dashed line leading down here, because an inconjunct is an aspect that creates an imbalance, and an imbalance where we need to adapt, we need to sacrifice something, we need to let go of something, we need to recognize where we've been maybe self-sabotaging, or in some ways we are being asked to let go of something. But it is also a time, anytime we have that inconjunct showing up, and you probably have some even in your natal astrology chart, it is a time or an aspect that creates a sort of tug of war between one energy and the other, because they're not necessarily compatible energies. So Cancer and Aquarius are not energies that really understand each other very well, right? Cancer's home and family and nurturing and gets right in there. They're the heart and soul of the family, where Aquarius energy is a little more standoffish, a little more detached, perhaps more aloof, not as expressive emotionally as Cancer is. So we might be feeling during this new moon that we're torn between what we really want and what we really want to do versus what we feel like we have to do, or what seems real in front of us at the moment. And I can tell you, like, this plays out in my life all the time, mostly through my Pleiadian-Earth energy and my Mayan energy, where I'm torn often between family and doing things with family, and my career, doing things in my outer world, because I have that kind of an inconjunct going on in my natal chart. So some of you may be feeling pulled, like wanting to head off in this one direction, but there's something holding you back, and it might be an obligation to someone or to something. So what we have to do with this kind of an inconjunct is we have to make time and space for both. And it might be as simple as creating some kind of a schedule, Virgo, practical magic schedule, right? A routine around making sure that I get to spend time in both worlds or in both focuses. And it might be that you have to release your attachment to doing something and being able to free yourself to move in a different direction. There's so many different ways that this can show up, but it's at our new moon solar eclipse. So it's something that's not with us just that day. An eclipse has echoes, right? Every time the moon moves past, or any other planet moves past 0 degrees of Cancer, it's going to trigger that solar eclipse and the events around that solar eclipse, or the feelings that came up during that solar eclipse. So be watchful of that in your own life. What do you really want? And what might be holding you back? And how can you sort of work through that, adapt or change or create some kind of new balance with those energies in your life? All right. Let's see. How are people feeling out here? Asa, good morning. Love it. Magic, she says. Allison, oh boy, Cancer moon in the first house here. Hope it's good to me. Of course it's good to you. Remember, it's about, what did I say this morning? You become what you believe. If you believe that Cancer in the first house and your solar eclipse in your first house is good for you, it is good for you. But if you believe that there are problems, then likely that's what your mind is focused on, and that might be what you start to see in that outer world, right? Believing is seeing, not seeing is believing, and you become what you believe, a la Oprah Winfrey. And I totally believe that to be true. So no hope it's good to you. It is good to you, right? It is good to you. Camille says, I like that. Neptune, yes. And yes, there are so many. I love how you express things to us. Well, I've seen a lot of different things out there about this new moon, solar eclipse, about the times we're in, and it's all really slanted negatively. And while I know that sometimes I tend to come across more Pollyanna-ish, because I like to see the positive side of things, I'm also uber aware that all of us are creating this reality. And if we continually tap into the negative, to the things that look like are happening, that look like they're real, then we're not changing anything, right? We're not changing anything because we're still caught up in an illusion. And that illusion is that reality is static, that reality isn't something that we have an access to or that we can change, when the real truth is that we can change our reality. And if you don't believe me, go do your own research. Look at quantum physics. Look at Greg Braden and the research in one of his books, and I cannot remember which book it is now, but one of his books, he goes into some very powerful experiments that people ran, scientists, not just like, students, or, lay people, actual scientists have run about how how light packets are waves, and they don't come to a reality or a point until someone observes it. And so what that tells us is that what is being created in our outer world, what light is creating in your world, happens by your observation. And what is your observation but what it is that you're perceiving, your perception, the lens that you're viewing that opportunity or that problem or that issue, and that's creating the reality. So it's so very true. And yet we persist in believing that what's happening in our outer world is real. And trust me, it feels real. It feels so real. But that any moment we choose to, collectively and individually, we can change that sort of reality for ourselves. And I've seen it happen. It's happened in my own life when I've changed the way I've thought about something. Then it's like a snowball. It just picks up steam or picks up, power as it goes down the hill and changes everything along the way. So it is definitely possible for us. A solar eclipse. Let's talk about that for a minute. What sign is it in? About what's it connected to? What does it mean? Well, a solar eclipse only happens at a new moon, and the sun conjunct a moon that's new. Well, it's new if it's a conjunction. It is the most powerful aspect in astrology. And it means that all possibilities are available. That means anything that you desire is on the table, that anything you want to manifest is on the table, that all you have to do is make a fresh start, move in that direction. And here's what I think we could all do. I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to even do it. I'm putting a do it on my calendar because I think it's a great time for us to put formal words down in writing in your journal about a new story that you want to create in your life. Don't like the job you have? Write a new story. Don't like the relationship that you're in? Write a new story. Don't like your financial conditions? Write a new story. Don't like your health at the moment? Write a new story. And write it in the first person as if it is here now. And make that your new story. Believe that. And I trust that things will change in your outer world in accordance to what your new beliefs are, right? It's not seeing is believing. You don't see it and then believe it's true. We believe it and then we see it. There we go. Okay, I'm off soapbox now. So anybody want to do that experiment with me? Then we can come together maybe next week and share what types of observations we're seeing around the new story that we wrote. I love that. Allison, my father had a plaque that I inherited, which says, I manifest that which I conceive. I read it all the time. Isn't that cool? When I was very young, I was 18, I had my first real job. I worked for a furniture rental company. And the first day I got a name placard because I had a desk and, people would come to me to buy furniture or rent furniture. Um, it said, man moves towards that and becomes like that which he sees or thinks about. And I mean, 18, right? And I'm like, whoa, that's so profound. And it was right there. So, my name faced outward and that saying faced toward me. So every day I was looking at this, and every day that was sort of being infused in me. And it wasn't until much later when after I was 40, when I became very much more metaphysical, that I realized the power in that saying. So, that is basically saying the same thing, right? And writing a new story, Amy says, yes. Kristen Page, good morning to you. Ursula would love to hear more about this portal opening during the eclipse. Okay, let's talk about a portal. What is a portal? A doorway, a gateway, an opportunity, maybe. It looks different to different people. I mean, it's literally an energetic portal. So it's not like I see a door and I can walk through the door, although maybe if that's what I believe and I want to create, I can do that. But more than likely, what this is an energy portal. Every new moon creates a portal. A solar eclipse at a new moon just maybe energizes that portal a little bit more. And that portal is the threshold to an opportunity, right? The threshold to something that you can change, a threshold to a new beginning. And that's why we call it a gateway or a portal, because energetically, you could almost envision, if you just closed your eyes and envisioned you walking through a doorway, and maybe it's dark and it's murky on one side, and on the other side is this beautiful golden light, and it feels warm and it feels loving, and you cross that portal and you're in a new reality. That's what we talk about with a gateway or a portal. And certain aspects, new moon, solar eclipse, create that planet moving into a new sign creates portals, gateways through which we can move into a new reality. So that's what we mean by that. So, and lots of people use them in different ways. I've seen many people talk about the Leo portal or gateway or what, it's just different stuff. Word wise, what we mean is that we're crossing a threshold into something new, some new potential, some new opportunity that we either didn't have before, or that dawns on us in an evolutionary way, like, wow, I should have had a V8. I could have been doing this differently all along. And we strike out into a new direction. So I hope that's helpful. And it is also very much dependent upon you as an individual and what you do with that opportunity or do with that portal. If you just kind of keep going along your life, never understanding that there's opportunity for you to choose what you want to do or who you want to be or what you want to believe, then everything is going to be the same, right? You'll experience the same. And I can't help but see that in some people and think that is Jupiter and Pluto and ultimately Saturn that were sitting at the gate 61 in our human design. That was about psychosis. So exactly right. Hi, Suzanne Fulmer, and thank you very much. Natasha, good morning. I have written a news story in the past. I now work with computers. Woohoo! And if you didn't know, Natasha and computers were always very challenging together. So this is cool. My husband got sober and is staying. My dyslexia and I are friends and more. Go for it. It works. Right? She's living astrology. She's living proof that these things happen. And you're most welcome, Ursula, and write that new story. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. There's so much more I could say, but that's okay because I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything of major importance. No, good. Let's do some readings. So because I'm now on Facebook and those people who want readings are going to zip by pretty fast, can I engage you, Amy, maybe to update me periodically about who needs a reading and start telling me if you would like a reading. I have my spirit animal deck. I just don't want to use that Mayan deck yet until I really get it, because I don't want to mess it up. Not that I think I would mess it up, but we also have the Galactic Heritage deck. This is the one that we used that gives us access to our star brethren. And then I have dragons and I have goddesses. So if you would like a reading, I have about 10-15 minutes here to get some of those done. I'm going to go back to Facebook. And so we have Ashley. I'm going to write this down so I don't pass them. Ashley and Amanda and Debbie, Debbie Tibbetts, Tumiel, and Ursula. Ursula, by the way, if you want, you can also tell me what kind of card you want. Ursula is requesting animals. Amanda, my choice. And Mimi would love a card. Mimi wants a Galactic Heritage card. I love that. And Asa would love an animal card. Okay, so Amy, my dear, I have all the way through Asa. If somebody else pops up and says Camille, I see Camille and I see Suzanne. Camille, what did you say you wanted? My choice. Okay, my choice. And Suzanne, goddess. Of course, she wants a goddess card. Okay, and let's begin here with Ashley. Ashley, I don't know if you said always dealer's choice. I love it. Allison says Woto. Okay, so I hope I can get through these. So Ashley, I'm going to pick you a Galactic Heritage card. And Amy, I am now heading over to Zoom, so I won't see the comments if someone else pops in and wants a reading or a card. So the Galactic Heritage cards, Ashley, are very different. Here's what the deck looks like. You can see sort of the different colors and their commentaries from our star brothers and sisters. And that means Sirius and Andromeda and Lyra and all different kinds of star systems that we get to hear from, the Pleiades. And for you, we get Force of Attraction, Orion Light, and it's a future-oriented card. And the artwork is really kind of crazy too. I kind of like the way it looks. It's like, you know, not defined that it's human, even though it has arms and legs and a face. It could be almost anything, right? So Orion Light, let's see what that means for you. Ashley, 106 is the number. Passed it. There we go. Okay. So the natural state of existence is balance. It takes more energy to sustain a state of imbalance than to surrender to balance. That's amazing. Balance is a state of integration where all parts of self are aligned and at one. The Orion Light represents this integrated state. There is a force of attraction that guides us back to this state, and it can be felt on subtle levels. We can tune into this force when we are silent and empty. This card asks you to move to your next level of growth by emptying yourself, often in meditation. Learn to feel this subtle force of attraction that guides you to the state of ultimate balance within you. Commentary. The last 4 cards of the deck access the energy called the Orion Light, which connects to a very evolved era in Orion history. Since our natural state is as a unified being, there are universal forces that pull us toward integration and awakening, no matter how much we resist. Resistance is futile. When we resist this natural flow, we sometimes create accidents or seemingly negative circumstances to force us to move in the direction we need to go for the highest good. When we relax and trust in the flow of the universe, we are intuitively pulled toward the choices and circumstances that foster our evolution. Thus, we are always nurtured by creation, even when it doesn't seem that way. If you pulled this card, it can have several meanings. It could mean that you have a good ability to follow this flow and to continue to trust it, or it may mean that you are resisting this flow and this resistance is creating undesirable or painful circumstances in your life. If so, some serious inner work is needed to reconnect you with the wisdom of the universe that you don't feel capable of accessing. You must create inner stillness in order to sense this flow of energy that gently nudges you toward integration and transformation. The chaos of outer circumstances is just a reflection of inner chaos. Don't be distracted by the outer chaos if it manifests in your life. Go within and reconnect with this flow, the natural force of attraction that always nudges you toward awakening. I think that's a powerful card for all of us, but that was specifically a message for you, Miss Ashley. Okay, now who was next? Amanda. And Amanda was saying, my choice. And Amanda, I'm kind of feeling a goddess card for you. You know, pretty soon I'm going to have decks of cards all over my desk, which I do already. Yesterday I had to scan something, and I have all of my card decks sitting on top of my printer because I don't usually scan. But yesterday I had to, and I was like, dang it, I have to take all of these card decks and put them on the floor so I can access my printer's scan. Anyway, it was just pretty funny. Ooh, so Amanda, this card jumped out for you, and it is Parvati. And she's a beautiful Hindu goddess, I believe it is, of devotion. Let's see what she means for you. She literally flew out of the deck. She is also card number 41, which is a 5, which kind of speaks to some change perhaps for you. So let's take a look here. And she was right side up, by the way. So it is an empowerment message for you. True commitment comes from wholehearted living in body, mind, and spirit. When the Hindu goddess Parvati rises up to greet you, she is acknowledging you for your sincere devotion to personal growth. With the world in so much turmoil, it's not easy to devote yourself to higher knowledge and a strong faith. But if you are to serve others by being a bearer of love, compassion, and light, you must recommit yourself every day as unwavering in your devotion as Parvati was to Shiva and her goal of bringing peace to the world. Parvati asks that you find silence in daily meditation to contemplate your devotion as well as your commitment to all of life and to making the world a better place. The great goddess is present when you renew your devotion and make that relationship primary above all else. Then in all areas of your life, your every choice will be in alignment and in service to this truth. When the goddess Parvati comes to visit, it is a beautiful sign that you are on the right track. I love that. I love that. I love that. Validation. So that was for you, Amanda. Debbie Tippett's Tumiel. I don't know. I think you said my choice. And I believe my choice for you, Debbie, is going to be one of the Galactic Heritage cards. How's that? All right. So Debbie Tippett's Tumiel, this will be for you. And it is Living in the Now, the Cetacean Dolphin Parallel. So this is what that card looks like. Living in the Now, card number 85, which is a 14. Is that a 13? 5 plus 8 is 13, which is a 4. So that is a 4, Cetacean Dolphin. Here we go, number 85. 85. Here we go. Dolphin consciousness, more evolved than human, has the capacity to be rooted in the present moment and to live fully there. This explains their playful nature and how interactions with them bring humans into balance. As the human species and brain evolve, we will need to develop this skill as well. In doing so, we free ourselves from the attachments of the past and worries of the future to create an abundance of energy for the now moment. This creates even more joy and profound feelings of connectedness to the universe. Every day, focus on your breath. Keep attention rooted there. Now is all that exists. Dolphins are sentient beings, much like humans, except without the high levels of polarity in their consciousness. This is why dolphins appear to exist in a joyful, fully present state. The ability to live in the now is an enlightened state also expressed by awakened masters. Don't confuse it with being irresponsible or childish and seeking immediate gratification. This state is actually one of high integrity, authenticity, impeccability, and self-responsibility, and it is the state to which humanity is eventually evolving. It means letting go of the past and no longer attaching to the future. When we bring our full consciousness to the here and now, our state of consciousness evolves in a powerful way. If this card comes up in your reading, it could mean several things. It may mean that you have a strong dolphin connection that wishes to be acknowledged. It may also mean that you are being asked to embrace the quality of living in the now as a way to let go of pains of the past or worries about the future. A great way to practice this is to simply sit quietly and focus on your breath. If your mind wanders, just refocus it on the breath. This is an essential skill to navigate the coming changes in Earth's reality. Begin practicing now. Have patience. The changes are cumulative and require focus and commitment, but you will soon notice things shift in your reality because you have shifted, right? Believing inward is seeing outward. I love it. It's like everything is just validating that for us. Okay, that's for you, Debbie. Ursula would like an animal card. Animals are one of my favorite decks. And here we go. This is for you, Ursula. Next week, I promise I will have gone through the mind. God, that one just flew out. You guys can't see my hands down here, but this card for Ursula just flew. And it is the Scarab Beetle Spirit. Magic works through you. Look at that beautiful, just beautiful. The picture is just gorgeous. Now, I'm not sure scarab beetles really look that beautiful. They might be sort of scary looking, but for this card, it's magic works through you, number 52, which is a 7. So let's take a look at that. And it was upright when it fell out. So, in ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was revered for the creative magic of scarab beetle spirit, reminds us that we can bring forth something extraordinary, seemingly out of thin air. Whenever you let your creativity flow through you, scarab beetle spirit reminds you that spirit has given you the gift of infinite potential. You have an ally as you fashion something new or repurpose the old, for spirit co-creates with you, channeling energy through you so that you feel replenished and revitalized as you make magic with what is at hand. Now is a time for great optimism, for you can accomplish anything you desire, and your creative endeavors will come to fruition. Miracles, opportunities, abundance, and love will appear seemingly out of nowhere as you allow spirit to work through you and to magically manifest what you need. Love it. That's a great card too. I mean, is there any cards I don't like? I don't think so. So Ursula, that was a message for you. Next is Mimi. And Mimi, you wanted a galactic card as well. So let's pull the galactic deck back into the game. And this will be for you, Mimi. I'm not sure what to think of this because 2 cards flipped over and they are they're right next to one another in terms of number. So it's like a series. So maybe a little bit of a story for you. And they're both serious. Coming full circle was the first one to pop out. And the other one was creative communication. And literally they're linked. But remember, these cards have been shuffled and reshuffled many times. So the fact that they would come out sequentially might mean that there's something very profound in the story here for you. So let's see what that is. Card 60 is coming full circle. Sirius is, in the ancient days, the Syrians placed codes within our DNA to help us evolve when the time was right. That time is now. Humankind is awakening as the Syrians had hoped. Their task has come full circle. If you pulled this card, then you have a connection to that ancient Syrian past, and because of humankind's awakening, you have recently completed a karmic pattern held for thousands of years. You may feel subtle energies of completion, or you may feel nothing at all. But if you have any guilt about things left undone in the ancient past, it is not necessary to hold that pattern any longer. It is recommended that you read the commentary for card 59 as well as this one, for the issues are related. And the card 59 was unfinished business. So we go from unfinished business to coming full circle. And then I'm not going to read that one because that might confuse everything, but we'll read for sure the 61, which was creative communication. When we complete goals or complete a cycle, we come full circle and are ready to start a new cycle of learning. If this card comes up in your reading, it is very possible that you have just completed a cycle of learning and are ready to start a new one. If you feel this is not true and that you are currently stuck in a situation, then you can interpret this to mean that with all the work or avoidance you have done regarding an issue, you are coming full circle around to confront it again, giving you an opportunity to transform it once and for all. This is a powerful place to be in when this card comes up. It usually means you are poised for powerful transformation in your life circumstances. Look to the other cards for further clarification if you need it. If you are contemplating a serious decision in life and you feel that you have completed your past lessons, then this is a great time to take that leap of faith into the unknown and begin a new cycle of learning and growth. And then, of course, the following card was also yours. And this one, creative communication. The Sirius energy is known for its profound spiritual communication. It acknowledges that you have a connection with a Sirius guide, future self, or dolphin energy that is currently working with you. Spend some time in quiet meditation connecting with this energy. Let it help you inspirationally communicate with those you love. If you do any form of channeling, this Sirius energy can assist. If you have difficulty saying things that need to be said in your life, ask this guide for help. It can help you clear karmic patterns regarding your fear of expressing yourself. The Sirians were once physical like humans and often act as guides for humans. Their species made their transition from fourth to fifth density and manifest as light beings who communicate to other planetary civilizations that are less advanced and exist in third or fourth density. This card can be considered a channeling card and often comes up for people who have a natural channeling ability, which can manifest in many forms, not just verbally. It could possibly be referring to past lives in which you were a channel, or it may be referring to your natural channeling ability in this life, even if you are unaware of it. Take some time to begin reconnecting with your intuition and sensing the energies around you. Begin to trust them as well as yourself in regard to your ability to understand their guidance. If you are already a channel, this card is most likely either acknowledging that fact or telling you that you are about to move into a new cycle of your channeling. If you truly have no connection to the idea of channeling in any way, then look to this card as a message about your ability to communicate effectively in your life. I wonder if it's even the ability to channel something creatively into your art, Mimi. Are you communicating with what you need to communicate in your life in order to stay in integrity with yourself? If not, it is time to commit to authentic communication, not only with others in your life, but with yourself as well. Love it. Nice little storyboard there for you to think about. Asa, you are next, and you wanted an animal card as well. So let's bring back our beautiful animals. And it's good to see some of you because I don't see some of you like Camille and Suzanne and Asa. Sometimes I don't see you guys over in the YouTube live. So I wonder if that's because you're not in YouTube or something else weird that's happening. I don't know. But Asa, you get beautiful deer spirit, being a gentle touch, or bring a gentle touch. You could be one too. So that is card number 18, which is a 9. Doesn't she look beautiful? Gotta love deer, which happens to be my Mayan sign. So I like that. Oh, wrong deck. Book. Here we go. Number 18. Okay, so deer spirit. And it was right side up. We have a lot of right side up cards today. The message says the time has come to be gentle and diplomatic when dealing with others. You might have found yourself in a situation where negotiations are necessary in order to reach your goal. Be mindful of the words you choose, but do not worry. Dear Spirit reminds you that you have the ability to be sure-footed and confident while showing humility and respect for others. You will find that your capacity for calm and grounded communication is heightened at this time. Follow the way of dear spirit and you will do well, gaining the respect of others and finding common ground that is pleasing to you. Remember that understanding others and their needs will be more powerful at this time than putting your own first. If you do that, you will be rewarded tenfold. Such an easy job for someone who is a Libra. And I think that you are going up the right alley here with whatever it is that you're working on in your life at the moment. Dear seems to say that for you. Okay, Camille, my choice is Goddess for you, Camille. So let's do Goddess. Who's Camille Love? I love your last name, Love. So Camille, let's see here. You get the goddess Saraswati. She's also a Hindu goddess, I believe. And she's number 44, the double numbers, magic numbers. And she represents mastery. So let's see. And she was also right side up, which is an empowerment message in this deck. So card 44, Saraswati. Mastery is a genuine sense of effortless knowledge after a period of dedicated immersion. The Hindu goddess Saraswati asks you to enter her domain of art, language, knowledge, music, and poetry, and make this commitment to go the distance. Immerse yourself, body, mind, and spirit in discovering all aspects of what is at hand. Learn and then learn more. Right now, if you adopt the role of apprentice and are willing to devote your heart and mind to something, you will become a true master. Deep wisdom knows only continuous learning. No matter what question you've come to explore, the goddess Saraswati reminds you that the pursuit of mastery is never ending. So enjoy every minute of it. That's an awesome card too. What are you working on, Camille? Suzanne also wants a goddess card. So let's put her back in the deck. And Suzanne, let's see what magical goddess comes out to work with you today. You get the goddess Maya Illusion, card number 34, and she was upside down. So let's take a look at her. She's very light colored card. I hope you guys can see that really well. She is really very beautiful. And when this is upside down, as she was, that means there is an alignment message for you. So likely a task at hand. And she's card 34, which is a 7. And it says, the goddess Maya has come to give you some clarity now. How have you been in denial about your life lately? Have you been chasing after an outcome that eludes you? Do you want to believe in something or someone so badly, perhaps drawn by a potential you hope to see come to fruition, that you have lost your way and given your power to them? Your alignment task is to summon your courage and be willing to see things as they really are rather than the way you want them to be. Be honest with yourself. The goddess Maya understands the seduction of the illusion of separation after all. She created the illusion of the individual self. Once the illusion has faded, you are free to connect deeply with another path. This is a wonderful time to do a self-inventory of your life, how you love, what you believe, who you follow, why you choose to live the way you do. When the goddess Maya comes to break down illusions and delusions, it is a very auspicious sign. That's like right with that journaling thing that I said that I was going to do, that I invited all of you to participate in with me. So I think that's pretty cool. And Allison wanted a Wisdom of the Oracle. Let's pull that deck out. And I think that's all I'm going to have time for because I have to produce this in time to get it on YouTube. That's funny. It takes me much longer to do things when I do Facebook broadcasts, but oh well. Allison. Allison has this card, regeneration. And I know that card, it always kind of scares me when I see it. It kind of looks barren, but regeneration, right? If you really look, you see that there's like new growth potentially popping out here and like little sparkles of light that are coming to it. Let me show it one more time here. Regeneration. Beautiful, right? Okay. Card number 46, which is a 10, which is a 1. So new beginning, a regenerative new beginning here. So 46. There we go. The essential meaning of the card is rebirth, second chances, and new opportunities. Second chances are available to you now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or loss is now being replaced by something better and more powerful growing in its place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. And I just feel like I also need to read the prosperity message to you as well. And here's what that says. What happens when it appears you've failed at something? Do you see the beauty in the lesson? The understanding that arises from difficulties is like a seed that lies dormant for a time. Then, once it germinates in your subconscious, it pushes through into your awareness. It is becoming apparent that there is a new you, a new start. A more powerful version and form of what you began to plant in the garden of your imagination has surfaced. You are ripe for success, and new opportunities, much better than those that came before, appear like gifts from the gods. Now is one of those times when out of seeming loss and failure comes remarkable abundance. Do not dwell on the past because you really are experiencing a rebirth. Perfect as we walk through this portal. All right, guys, I have totally made a mess out of my desk here. And yes, I am. Thank you, everybody. Perfect. Everybody's loving these things. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. And Jacqueline, I will pull one goddess card for you as the last card of the day. If only I knew what I did with them. There they are. You guys would laugh if you saw my desk right now. They're everywhere. Okay, so this is for you, J-Lo. And you get Lakshmi. Oh my gosh, she's the most wonderful goddess, isn't she? Lakshmi is fortune. I got to go back to Zoom to make sure I can show you this card in her full glory. Lakshmi, card number 27, which is a 9. She did come out in protection, which means an alignment message for you. But isn't she gorgeous? And let's see what she means. Card number 27, kind of endings, perhaps, because that's a 9. And here's your alignment message. Have you ever fallen prey to the idea that someone might take away what's yours? Or perhaps you think someone else's success or happiness means there will be less for you. You might not be conscious of this, but you feel that there is not enough to go around, not enough love, not enough money. You worry about growing old, missing out, and struggling for the resources you misperceive as limited. You might also feel miserly and stingy, afraid to share in case there will be nothing left. The goddess Lakshmi says this kind of thinking must go if you want to live a rich and vibrant life. Your alignment task is to stop and be mindful of the direction of your thoughts and reframe them to focus on what you truly intend. Repeat this mantra. What is mine will not go past me. What is mine will not go past me. When you feel the green gremlin of envy creep into your heart, bless the other person and say, that which I desire is also for me. Your true limitations are only what you set for yourself. Don't let your conditioned mind and faulty beliefs rule your life. Break free. The world is unlimited if you let yourself open up to the wealth of your inner magician. Love it. Perfect. Okay. So I think that has to be it absolutely for me this morning, but I've loved being with all of you. What a perfect way to spend my day. Thank you, Amy. for trying to keep track if you were doing that for me. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining me, and have a blessed weekend. Happy solstice to you, and also happy solar eclipse and new moon. Take care, everybody. And I'll see you on Monday when I will be live in my new home of Oneness Talk Radio. I don't know that you will all notice anything different, but I will definitely know I'm in a new place. And have a great weekend. I'll see you then. How exciting, right? New beginnings. All right, everybody. Much love. Bye for now.